They use the phrase for new internet marketers only because they know you are looking for some sort of a quick push button way to get rich. But again, then why wouldn't it apply to everyone? Why does it only apply to new internet marketers? If they're saying there's a special way for you, then that special way is legitimate for everyone else. Okay? I'm just going to leave it at that. Of course, there are all kinds of variations on the theme, but I'll leave it at that. Let's get back to where we're at because the newbie concept is important. Beware about everything that pitches you excitedly and from the standpoint of you're new. Okay? And any combination. All right? We'll go through that later because we'll get there. Anyway, let's come back to just this evolution of what's been going on. So now, program owners are addicted to maintaining their cash flow in the program that they have. And as such, they start coming up with these sort of flowery ways of reinventing their statistics. Another one is to simply review law online. When it comes to patents, copyrights, and trademarks, reproduction of content, and so forth, how far can you go? Are testimonials binding? Can you ever hold a company accountable for their product because a testimonial that was clearly labeled a testimonial says it worked for me? Okay? Does a testimonial mean anything? All right? Especially if it's not actually signed by a real person. If it says, I made great money with this thing quickly, exclamation point, signed K.C. out of NJ. That is completely not binding. You might want to say, but the fact of the matter is it must have been somebody's testimonial, and the website owner can say, no, it is an example of a testimonial. And it is signed that way because it's an example. This person doesn't exist. They won't tell you that. They'll tell you there was this person, but they're talking to you. They're not talking to law. Okay? And besides, anyone can sign that way. Anybody could create that testimonial and put it up. Okay? Don't believe testimonials. Most of the time, they're false. At least I'll put it this way. It's not about don't believe testimonials. Testimonials have value. They add story. They add context. They add points of view from different persons' point of view. But the fact of the matter is they are not binding by law. Okay? Anything said on the page can be a story. The page itself is not a legal contract. A sales letter that guarantees you something is not actually a legal contract. And you might step into the realm of, well, what is or isn't misleading advertising? Guarantee you a testimonial that says it worked for someone else does not constitute misleading advertising if it does not work for you. There are 50 factors that haven't been attended to here, and you ball without addressing them. But you can't address all the factors. And that's where I mean to say, I've had some customers call me and say, hi, I want to take on your service or get in your thing, but I want to develop this long-winded contract for you to sign all over it. And I will shrug and say, no way. They'll say, well, you might lose my sale. And I'll say, yes, but I don't, you got to learn. On the internet, we do things fast and efficiently, and you got to understand what we're doing, watch our videos, understand what it is, and then at some point you take a leap of faith. But things change too fast. It's too dynamic. Whatever you wrote in the contract ceases to apply, a lot of it, within a month. Because the dynamics that existed at the time the contract was written failed to exist a month later. The contract would be so thick and so many pages, you'd have to pay a lawyer every blasted time to read every new contract, and you'd have to stockhold these things somewhere. It's insane. Nobody online does business that way. There are no contracts. There are just simple little guarantees, and mostly the payment mechanisms are controlled at the level of, say, PayPal, your credit card, or any other credit agency, or if you made a wire transfer, it depends on what's going on with the wire transfer and how the rules apply with the banks, which you use for the wire transfer. And the banks in the interim, there's 500 different things, and how things apply geographically. If there was... If you're American, there's another American, or even a guy from the UK, because there are a lot of trade laws and so forth. But this guy sells you something, and he's lying to you, okay, flat out. But, and you want to sue him? I got a question. What if you bought it from his website, which is hosted in Singapore, through a shopping cart that was hosted in Malaysia, all right? For a fellow whose business is taking place from Fiji, all right? And the guy himself is from the UK. I got a question. Where is the jurisdiction of the case? Do you take it against his website? That'll send you to Singapore. Do you take it against his shopping cart? The point of actual payment? That would be Malaysia. Okay? You're going to fly to Malaysia and host up a case? You won't. You'll just accept the loss because it's insane to try to go and deal with the problem. Okay? If you want to take it against him, do you take it against him in the country of his residence? Under his business residence, or him personally? And that depends on how the law applies between him and his business, whether they're one and the same or whether they're separate entities or what. I mean, there's so far to go with that. It's insane. You do a whole course on that. I could do a whole course on how to hide yourself. From how to shield yourself from major lawsuits. And that's if you're getting into major issues. But even then, I've seen people break those lines. I've watched big hype owners go down. And we took one down, actually. We took down a very large hype owner. I'm not going to get into that story. That's completely tangential. And that's ancient history, too. But the fact of the matter is we did spend a lot of money, spend a lot of time traveling around the world, and getting a lot of people involved in a lot of communications, emails, conversations with the right legal people, and got someone taken down. And he's up for criminal charges, as a matter of fact, right now. And I won't go any further. And that's beyond the civic charges. The fact that he owed a lot of money back, but he's actually up on serious criminal charges. And all that side stuff. All right, let me get back to where we're at. So companies inflate things and they discover how to reword stuff, and they just get more and more brazen about telling a rosier story online as they discover that very little law exists. If the guy creates a website and he's living in one state and you're reading it from another state, there's already state laws that differ. Okay? It makes it very, very difficult to have a standard in a lot of ways. It doesn't mean that standards don't apply. They do apply to a lot of things. I'll do a separate topic on copyrights, patents, and trademarks, and just sort of a loose analysis of how these things do and don't bind you online, and what to do to make them bind you in the cases that you want to, and when it is or isn't important, because that's just as fundamental as whether to protect yourself. I watch a lot of people spend a lot of money and waste a lot of time protecting themselves for the wrong reasons, for reasons that aren't going to matter in the end. Because in the end, the competition gets just as much foothold anyway, and they just wasted time and effort and money. All right, protecting something that wasn't going to work anyway. All right, let's step back though. So now they have their rosy pictures and stuff, more people come. Let's say, what happens then? Some programs continue to exist and some die based on the pure method, this application of the rosier structure, whatever the case may be. Some systems continue to exist long past their expected due date. They're dinosaur systems, systems that fail, and yet they propagate. Okay? Such systems, website traffic exchangers is one example. Safeless is another example. Free-for-alls, when you see them, is another example. The propagation of multiple search engines all over the place, that broke into two strains. It's kind of interesting. Both are bad. But it's kind of interesting anyway to understand that history. Submit your website to 20,000 search engines, and these days you could go further. You could say 200,000. There's actually businesses and selling people personal search engine derivatives of a main search engine in this wild lateral attempt to gain search engine control, you would think. But it's a little different than that yet. It's more or less to become a Google search partner. And the method of monetizing in that is that the people on the search engines intentionally click on the ads that appear on their search engines. And where Google has said yes to allowing them as search engine partners, which is very often, then these people intentionally click on the ads. Now, they can only go so far maybe with that, but when they're selling an affiliate system of search engines where, hey man, I got John's search engine, and I'll sell it to Bob, Adam, and Mary, and now it's Bob's search engine, Ad's search engine, Mary's search engine, whatever, and they all go to Google and become search partners, and they all are clicking on your link that shows up on these multiple search engines because they're all using a similar design, similar interface, similar layout, similar content. And so your ads qualify to show up on all of theirs. It's indiscriminate. It's fair. But it means 4 times as many people are clicking on your links who are never going to buy it. They're only monetizing for themselves, especially if they're clicking on each other's. Bob goes to Ann's search engine and clicks on Ann's links, while Mary goes to Bob's, while Ann goes to Mary's, and so forth and so on. You understand?